everybody, welcome back to another video with Kat about Raid Shadow Legends. Today we are going to talk about stuff. We're going to do kind of a checklist of all the ways that you have to upgrade your champions. My hair is doing something wacky today. What are you doing, hair? All right, we're doing kind of a checklist of all the ways that you have available to you to upgrade your champions in Raid Shadow Legends. So if you feel like a champion is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or if they're not living up to their full potential, here's your checklist of all the things that you need to make sure that you've done to the champion in order to get them doing what they're doing best. So we're going to go through that. But first, if you haven't already, get started on your Raid Shadow Legends journey by using the link in my description. You start off with 3 legendaries and 3 epics. All the epics that you get are of crazy importance, super helpful champions. Crotto Fox Hunter, Hugo, Deacon Armstrong, and Lady Annabelle all come into your account for free. In order to get your second legendary, Sun Wukong, you have to use the promo code Monkey King in the first 48 hours of creating your account. And then, after logging in for 7 days, Michelangelo of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes into your account as well. So you get 3 legendaries, 3 epics, and it's a hugely helpful way to start your account, especially having champions like Hugo and Deacon Armstrong and Sun Wukong and even Michelangelo. Michelangelo, even without the rest of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle team, he is really helpful and solid by himself. So let's get into the fun today. So we're going to use a couple different champions in order to showcase all of this, but my goal is to go in order of importance and in the order of most basic to most advanced ways of upgrading your champions. So super basic ways. We're going to start. Our friend here today, Diabolist, is going to be our guinea pig for a minute. So first thing you want to do is make sure your champion is as leveled up as possible. Now they have 10 levels for how many stars they have, which means Diabolist, we can get her up to at least level 30. And that's a big boost, as you can see, for a lot of her base stats. Now, you also, once the champion is at their max level, you also have the option to upgrade their rank. Now, you can also level them up by using them in campaigns and dungeons and various other aspects of the game. But leveling them up in the tavern is the most straightforward and easiest way. Then, you can rank them up using champions of the same star level or a chicken of the same star level. So for to rank up a 3-star champion, you need 3 3s. And then from there, you need 4 4s. Now that you're like, Kat, why are you doing this to a champion that you don't really care about? I'm doing this because, 1, it's clan versus clan and I'm getting points for it. But 2, I'm doing this for food because I have some level 5-star 50 champions that need to get ranked up, and I don't want to use good champions. So my Diabolist is going to be food for somebody else later on. Once you've leveled up and ranked up your champion as much as you possibly can, you'll see I've got a lot of champions that are at their max of 6 stars and level 60. Then you'll see that some of the stars have turned pink, and that's because you want to ascend your champions as well. You can do that by using potions from the Potion Keep, and we're going to upgrade Razin. Now, the more you want to upgrade, the more potions you use. So obviously that's going to bottleneck pretty quick. So we're just going to do 1 star on Razin. It gives him a okay boost in his HP and his defense, but it's still, and that's only 1 star. So as you get maximized, you'll see more and more benefit. So let's see, it do a 2-star on Valkyrie. You'll see that was a fairly bigger jump for her HP and defense. So you can level them up, you can rank them up, you can ascend them, and then probably the most useful thing you can do is add gear to them. Now, this is the way you get to customize champions and get them to do whatever you want them to do. Archmage Helmet here is probably, being a support champion, he's probably going to want a bunch of accuracy, and there are various websites. Hell Hades is a really good one where it can kind of give you a direction to go with on gear. So for example, on that, you search for the champion, you find him right here, and then there's a little tab that says gear, and we go straight down, and see, like I said, accuracy, speed, crit rate, and HP are the recommended stats that you want to focus on. It takes a while to learn about gear. That's okay. I have a whole separate video on that, but make sure that you've added gear. Now, I might be sitting here wondering, why isn't my Archmage Helmet doing a lot? Probably because I don't have any gear on him whatsoever other than accessories. He has no artifacts. He's not going to work as well as I want him to. So that would be a next place for me to go. Now, once you get gear on him, so let's give him something with accuracy and speed. Is probably going to be a lot of perception. We're going to equip them. So that's going to make him better. But you don't want to just put on boots. You want to upgrade him as much as possible. Now, if you have as much silver as I do, we can get away with upgrading them to level 12 immediately. And a lot of these stats are going to get a boost. Some of them, now see, it's spread it out a little bit, but there's a possibility of all 3 boosts going into one single stat. So it could be, they call it a triple roll, where you get a triple boost in speed. But don't forget to level up your gear and make sure that they're all leveled up as much as you can. So if it's not quite doing it, next step would be to level up, make sure you have the boost that you need. So we've leveled up our characters, ranked up our characters, we've added gear, we've leveled up gear, we've ascended them. Now back in our tavern, we can upgrade some skills. Now I don't have a lot of tomes available at the moment because it's clan versus clan, but we can add a book on them. And what that will do for a lot of the skills that they're using, it'll increase the damage, it'll increase the chance of placing a buff or a debuff, or it will reduce the cooldown, which means that they can use that skill again in fewer turns, which is really helpful. Now, tomes take a while to get, so that's why it's a little further down the list. But upgrading those skills on champions is usually where I'm the most stuck. So, for example, right now I have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just started putting some books on Michelangelo, so he's getting a reduced cooldown here. He's getting a little bit more damage and a reduced cooldown here. And that's going to make him far more useful because he's going to use some of these really good skills a lot faster instead of me just spamming his A1 over and over and over and over again. We have masteries right next to it. Now, masteries are typically a spot where I forget to do stuff. And this is where a lot of people tend to forget. Now, your masteries are really important. Raphael here, we're working on him. This is adding some crit rate. It adds a boost to the stats. It also adds some fun things such as healing for 5% of the damage when you're attacking with half of your HP or less. So that gives him it gives him a chance to replenish his own health. Now, it might be tiny. You might be seeing like, that's only 5%. That's not a lot. It's better than nothing. And especially as you get into higher levels of these masteries, their usefulness gets more and more interesting, such as Hell Smasher, 50% chance of ignoring 25% of their defense, which is huge. And that's especially when you're dealing with big, chunky dungeon bosses and clan bosses. That 25% ignored defense makes a huge difference, especially when you're trying to focus on damage. You work on your masteries, run your Minotaur as much as possible. That is going to get you a lot further along with the same champion. I've said we've kind of gone in order of what is most feasible. So Minotaur gets you a certain place. Sand Devil's Necropolis and Phantom Shogun's Grove are both means of getting resources to ascend your gear. Same way you can ascend a champion, you can also ascend their gear, giving it a possibility of a lot of other stats. So we're going to do this for Raphael here. And you see I've been farming pretty well. We're doing okay. So we're going to test and see what we get. Now we got a speed boost on boots, which is huge. And I am going to I'm going to send that as much as I can. I don't want to use these because I'm saving those for something else. But speed stat is massive, especially for Raphael. So I'm super happy with that. Now that just gave me a lot of speed. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but once you start getting into these bigger guys, when you go from 203 to 210, that's a big jump. So ascending the gear is a little more helpful. It gets a little trickier as you get to those 2 dungeons, but the more you can clear through those dungeons, the more of those materials you can get, and the more you can improve your gear, which overall improves your champion. Speaking of which, you also want to make sure that you use your glyphs on your gear. Now, you get your glyphs typically from Faction Wars, and you're going to find it in the same area. You're going to find it where it says enchant. Look for that little anvil. Now, we always want speed, so we're going to use... This is a pretty... piece of gear is pretty good, but it's not the best that I have. I usually save these really high-speed glyphs for trying to improve my Arbiter. because I want her to be as high as possible. We only got one, but it's fine. But you want to do every possible stat that you can. That's lame. We can do better. Wow. Little better. Okay. Especially for attack, we want to make sure that Raphael is stacked. HP, we want to do every possible stat that we can. Now, the only stats that you're not going to be able to add glyph improvement on is crit rate and crit damage. So, but everything else, use all of the glyphs that you possibly have. I don't even care if the stat doesn't matter for the champion. And you never know, that tiny little boost in resistance might be the difference between me making it through a dungeon and me not making it through a dungeon. So might as well. They're there, use them. So everything that we've talked about up until this point are specific to individual champions, but we're going to talk about affinity bonuses, which you find here in the Great Hall. Now, you get these medals from completing your arena, from completing Classic Arena. And what you can do here is you are improving the overall stat of champions based on their affinities. So whether magic, spirit, force, or void, then you can improve whatever they need. So right now I am concentrating on the accuracy of my force champions, because accuracy is always hard to build and it takes a lot of medals. It's going to take you a minute. So that's why this is a little lower down on the tier, because these are very time consuming and very resource consuming. But when we go look at all of my force champions are getting a little boost from, and especially Lemonisi Goldwing, because I'm trying to use her to get through Amius, and she needs a lot of accuracy for that. Now, from her gear alone, she'd be getting 192 accuracy, which isn't that high, but that affinity bonus gives her a whole 60, which boosts her right up to 250. And then she gets a little bit more from masteries and blessings and all that other good stuff. So the more you can focus on affinity bonuses for specific champions. So right now, accuracy is always a great place to focus. And you want to think tall, not wide. Do as much as you can in one area. And you'll see this is also benefiting champions like Tholen Falbeard, Raphael, Ostrid. These are all Geomancer, Rector Drath, all of these champions I use all the time, so that's why I'm concentrating so much on my force specifically. But even if I switch to another affinity, it's just going to make sure that all of these champions are getting a boost in accuracy, or as you saw there in their HP, attack, defense. These are all areas to give yourself a good boost. We're getting towards the end, don't worry. I know this has been a lot. We've got a few more to go. The thing is, there are lots of ways to upgrade your champions. One other way I recommend boosting a champion is to add relics. Now, relics are relatively new in the game. The reason they're a little further down is because Chimera, which is where you get a lot of your relic crafting pieces, takes a minute. It's kind of a tricky boss. Just like your champions, your relic pieces can get upgraded by leveling them up and ranking them up. Now, follows the same rules, so it's kind of tricky to get them up a little further, but the more you can upgrade them, the more you get a stat boost plus an improvement in whatever helpful aspect they give you. So where it has a 20% chance to deal 10% more damage when attacking, and that chance has gone up 5%. So that means he currently has a 25% chance. And the more you can level it up, the more that chance goes up, and that improves the amount of damage that he does, or for whatever you're trying to do with this relic. All right, and then for this, we're going to go back to the Great Hall one more time, because affinity bonuses are great, but area bonuses are a little less specific to individual champions. This is a whole area where you will get improvement. So I have some work done in Faction Wars, but I've been concentrating more on Demon Lord, because that's where I want to be. And I have been working on how much defense my champions will ignore. This is a whole area, so whoever you are bringing into the Demon Lord battle gets these bonuses. They get a slight boost in accuracy, little boost in crit damage, boost in speed, boost in defense, boost in attack, and then I've also been concentrating on the ignored defense, because I'm trying to do as much damage as possible in order to one key or just do all the damage, like maximize my chest as efficiently as possible. So depends on what area you're working on. If you're really trying to get through Hydra, or say you want to get better glyphs for your gear, you can concentrate on faction wars. And then everybody who, regardless of what faction you're working with, everybody gets these bonuses every single day. All right, so the last 3 places that we are going to talk about are kind of areas of chance, and that's why I've saved them to the end. So you'll notice that some of my champions in here are not just pink stars, but they also have some red stars, especially Duchess Lilitu up here. That you get through Perfect Souls, which is down here at the Altar of Souls. Now this is majority by chance, and that's why I've kind of put this at the bottom of the list, because you can't control which souls you get. You'll see here in my soul collection that I have a bunch of 6-star mythicals that I'm probably never going to get, but I'm hanging on to them just in case. These improvements unlock blessings, and depending on how many stars of an upgrade you get a bunch of stat bonuses as well. So Duchess Lilitu here, the higher the star ranking, the better whatever blessing you're working with works. It also gives her a boost in all of her stats, including accuracy and speed, which we always know is a big need. But you cannot control which champions you get a perfect soul for, and you also cannot control how many stars you get. So that's just randomized, and it's really hard to get to that point. So what I recommend is farming your soul stones and immortal soul stones through events that happen, as well as the Iron Twins Fortress. This is where you get a lot of currency that you can use to buy souls or buy soul stones. If you've done everything else, if you're working on your area bonuses, you've got all the gear, you've done all the glyphs, you've ascended, you've ranked up, all that good stuff, and your champions are still not quite meeting that threshold of where you want to be, start concentrating on getting as many perfect souls as you possibly can. The only way it's not randomized is through the Mystic Market. Through the Soul Merchant. And sometimes you can buy a specific soul for a good champion. Now, like, I'm very tempted to get this Godseeker soul, but I don't have enough currency, so I'm going to just have to be sad. But if I keep farming, eventually I will have enough of these little coins in order to get that specific soul for her, which would be a huge upgrade. So concentrate there, get more currency, and then you have better chances of getting souls for the champions that you're working on. All right, the last 2 involve summoning. You know how it goes. Summoning shards, pretty random. Not really a high chance of getting anything. Sometimes there's a progressive chance. But if you get duplicates of champions, i.e. the same champion over and over and over again, like me, who has at this point pulled, I don't know how many geomancers, but I have a ridiculous amount of geomancers and dwarves specifically. I have both of those dwarves sitting in there. Actually, I could do this right now. When you have duplicates of champions, you can put them into the faction guardians, and that means all epic dwarves, which includes my geomancer, all get a boost. So all of these guys, any dwarf with a purple frame, gets a boost in HP, attack, accuracy, defense, speed, which is great. So this is an incentive to keep champions that you may not necessarily need, because you can put them into the faction guardians, and then they're just sitting there passively giving a stat boost to everybody. Once you have maxed out an entire faction, so our dwarves here, you'll see that all the epic dwarves have been maxed out, and I still have another duplicate of my geomancer. You have something that you can do called empowering. So I have pulled I think at this point we are at 5 geomancers. I'm not going to upgrade all 5 geomancers. That's a lot. But what I can do is I can empower him, and I took all of his duplicate selves, and I can go into this option here and do an empowerment level. And what you're going to see now, this guy is going to disappear. It's 1 less geomancer, but this guy, who is my main geomancer, as you can see by the amount of leveling up and soul and all that good stuff he has, he is going to get a permanent stat boost in his HP, his speed, his accuracy, all of that good stuff. Now this is why you want to save this kind of towards the end, because you need to be getting a bunch of the same champion over and over and over, but always prioritize your faction guardians before you start empowering your champions. But since I had that other set of rock breakers, now I can show you guys what it looks like to empower him, and he will now be at a maximum of 4 empowerment. Now that's his max, but now he has that permanent boost. Yep. So now he is fully empowered. I can't do anything more, I have more Geomancers, at this point I'll just start upgrading another one and see if that does anything. But this again boils down to chance of getting that same champion over and over and over again. So now you'll see all of his stats are crazy. Look at that accuracy. My God. And see, a lot of these all come from the empowerment. 40 of that accuracy is just from empowerment. 10 of his speed comes from that. So the conclusion of this is there are a lot of ways to upgrade your champions in Raid Shadow Legends. So if you feel like your champion's not doing what they should be doing, go through this video again, go through the checklist, see if you're missing anything, and let me know down in the comments if I missed anything. There's a lot of ways to upgrade champions in this game, and this game is very dense, so it's very likely that I forgot one of those. So let me know down in the comments if there's any other ways to upgrade your champions, and if you want to get started, use the link in the description or scan the QR code and get your Corrado Fox Hunter plus your 3 epics. And don't forget to use the promo code Monkey King in order to get Sun Wukong, one of my absolute favorite legendaries. And then don't forget to use logging in for 7 days right now will also get you Michelangelo of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's 3 legendaries, 3 epics, and your account is good to go, ready to start off. Dart, do you want to create an account? Dart. Got the 1,000-yard stare today. Well, that's everything I have. Thank you guys again for being here, and I will see you in the next video.